Anna sat on a hard bench in the hospital hallway and kept her eyes on the door that led to her son's room. The lights above her were bright, but the air still felt cold and heavy. People walked by with papers in their hands and quick steps, yet Anna felt like time had stopped around her. She held a small photo close to her chest and her fingers shook as she pressed it tight. In the photo, her son Leo was smiling in a park, and beside him sat a brown dog with gentle eyes named Max. That picture looked like it belonged to a different life, a life where Leo could run and laugh and call Max over with a happy voice. Now Leo was weak and quiet, and the sound of machines had become the loudest part of the room. When Anna entered the room, she tried to smile as if nothing was wrong, even though her chest felt like it was carrying a stone. Leo lay on the bed with thin arms resting on the blanket, and his face looked pale under the white light. A soft monitor beeped in a steady rhythm and a clear tube ran near his hand. Anna pulled a chair close and sat beside him, and she gently wiped his forehead with a damp cloth. She spoke to him in a calm voice and told him he was not alone, and she told him she was right there. Leo kept his eyes half open, and each breath looked like it took effort. For a while he only listened, then he slowly turned his head toward her, as if he was gathering strength just to do that. His lips moved and the words came out small and broken, yet Anna heard them clearly. He asked for Max. He said the name like it was a warm memory he wanted to hold before everything went dark. Anna froze for a second, because the hospital rules were strict and she already knew the answer she would get. Animals were not allowed inside, and even service visits were limited in this building. Anna still leaned forward and asked him to repeat it, and Leo nodded slightly and squeezed her fingers as much as he could. Anna promised she would try, and she meant it with her whole heart. She stood up and walked out into the hallway, and every step felt like she was walking against a strong wind. At the nurse desk she waited until someone looked up, and then she spoke with a voice that tried to stay steady. She said her son wanted to see his dog one last time. She said Max had been with Leo since Leo was small and scared of the dark. She said the dog had helped him through lonely nights and bad days, and she said the dog was not just a pet but a piece of Leo's life. The nurse in front of her listened with kind eyes, yet her face carried the weight of policy and responsibility. She explained that the hospital had safety rules, that other patients could be at risk, and that there were hygiene concerns. Anna nodded because she understood the words, but her heart did not accept the result. She asked if there was any exception, any special permission, any way to make it safe. Another staff member came over and repeated the same answer with a softer tone, and they offered to bring a comfort item like a blanket from home. Anna thanked them, but her hands tightened into fists at her sides. She did not want a blanket, she wanted a moment that mattered. She wanted Leo to see Max's face, to feel his warmth, to hear the familiar sound of paws and a happy breath. Anna walked back to the room and tried to hide her tears before she opened the door. Leo looked at her and understood without needing to ask, and a shadow crossed his eyes for a moment. He did not complain, and he did not argue, he simply turned his gaze toward the window as if he was looking for something far away. Anna sat down and held his hand again, and she spoke softly about small things, like the park and the sunny day in the photo. She told him Max still waited by the door at home. She told him Max still carried his old ball around the house. She told him she would do everything she could to bring Max close. That evening Anna stepped outside the hospital building and breathed in the cold air, and it felt sharper than she expected. She called her brother Sam, who had been caring for Max since Leo came to the hospital. Sam answered quickly because he already feared what the call might mean. Anna asked him to bring Max to the hospital, even if they could not bring him inside. She said Leo might at least see Max through a window, and she said even a small glimpse could be a gift. Sam did not question her, and he did not waste time, and within an hour his car rolled into the parking lot. Max jumped out with energy at first, because he recognized Anna and wanted to run to her. Then the dog seemed to sense the change in the air, and his tail slowed and his ears tilted forward. Anna knelt down and hugged him, and she whispered Leo's name into his fur. Max pressed closer to her, as if he understood that this was not a normal visit. Anna stood and looked up at the hospital windows, trying to remember which one belonged to Leo's room. She felt small under the tall building, but she also felt stubborn in a way she had never felt before. She walked toward the main entrance with Max on the leash and Sam beside her. The guard at the door stopped them before they reached the desk, and Anna's stomach dropped even though she expected it. She explained quickly, and Sam added that Max was calm and clean and could stay on leash the whole time. The guard shook his head and pointed to a sign about animals, and he said he could not allow it. Anna asked if the dog could wait in the lobby just for a minute, and the guard said no again. Anna felt her throat tighten, but she did not scream and she did not beg in a loud way, because she did not have the strength for that. She begged in a quiet way, the way a person begs when there is no pride left, only love. A woman in a blue jacket who seemed to be a senior nurse stepped closer after hearing the conversation. She looked at Anna and then at Max, and something in her expression changed as she watched the dog sit calmly at Anna's side. Anna told her that Leo was very weak and that he had asked for Max with his last bit of voice. The nurse did not promise anything, but she did not walk away either. She asked which room Leo was in and how old he was, and Anna answered with fast words and shaking hands. The nurse said she could not break policy, yet she also said there might be another way. She suggested a short visit outside near a service door, if the doctor agreed and if Leo could be moved safely, and if it did not disturb other patients. Anna's eyes filled with tears again, but this time the tears carried hope. Sam held the leash firmly while Max stayed still, watching Anna like he was waiting for a signal. The nurse went inside to speak with the charge staff, and Anna stood in the cold entry area counting every second. She listened to the sounds of the building and felt her heart beating in her ears. She knew nothing was guaranteed, and she knew someone could still say no. Yet in that moment Anna understood something important, that rules were built for order but love was built for meaning. She looked down at Max and saw the dog's steady gaze, and she realized Max was ready to do his part without understanding the full story. Anna held the photo again for a second and then put it away, because the real moment she wanted might be closer than a memory now. When the nurse returned, her face was serious but not cold, and she told Anna to wait by the side entrance because they were going to try. Anna nodded so quickly that she almost lost balance, and Sam helped her step forward. Max rose and walked with them quietly, and the three of them moved toward a door that looked like it belonged to staff only. Anna did not know what the next minutes would bring, but she felt the first crack in the wall that had been blocking her. She followed the nurse through the corridor toward that door, and in her mind she repeated one simple wish, that Leo would see Max and feel that he was still loved. Anna followed the nurse through the quiet corridor and felt her legs shaking with every step. The hallway smelled of clean air and medicine, and the sound of distant footsteps echoed softly. Sam walked beside her holding Max's leash firmly, and the dog moved calmly as if he understood that this place demanded silence. The nurse stopped near a small service door and asked them to wait. Anna nodded and pressed her hands together to stop them from trembling. She looked down at Max and whispered Leo's name again, and the dog lifted his head as if listening closely. A few moments later a doctor joined them, a middle-aged man with tired eyes but a gentle voice. He asked Anna about Leo and listened without interrupting as she explained how weak her son had become and how much Max meant to him. The doctor looked at Max and noticed how still and well-behaved the dog was, and then he took a slow breath as if weighing something heavy in his mind. He said they could try a short visit outside near the garden path behind the building, but it would have to be brief and carefully managed. Anna felt tears rise again, but this time she smiled through them and thanked him over and over. The nurse explained the plan clearly and said Leo would be brought out in a wheelchair with medical support. Anna followed every word closely, afraid that one mistake could change the decision. Sam squeezed her shoulder gently and told her to breathe, and Max stood steady at her side. They moved toward the garden path where winter air brushed against their faces. The space was small but quiet, with a bench and a few bare trees that reached upward like silent witnesses. Anna stood near the bench and waited, her eyes fixed on the door where Leo would appear. Her heart beat so fast that she felt dizzy, and she wondered how such a simple wish could feel so difficult to achieve. After a short wait the door opened and a nurse slowly guided Leo out in a wheelchair. He looked smaller than Anna remembered, wrapped in a blanket with his head resting against the side. When Anna saw him her chest tightened and she rushed forward, then stopped herself because she did not want to overwhelm him. Leo's eyes were half open and tired, but when he saw Anna his lips curved into a weak smile. The nurse positioned the wheelchair carefully near the bench and stepped back slightly. Anna knelt in front of Leo and held his hands, and she told him she had a surprise. Leo tried to speak, but his voice did not come out clearly, and instead he looked at her with curiosity and hope. Anna nodded toward Sam, and Sam gently guided Max forward. The moment Max saw Leo, he froze for a second, then his tail began to move slowly. His ears lifted and his eyes focused on Leo's face with deep attention. Max stepped closer, careful and quiet, and when Leo saw him his eyes widened with sudden life. A soft sound escaped Leo's lips that almost sounded like a laugh, and Anna felt her heart break and heal at the same time. Max leaned forward and placed his head near Leo's knee, sniffing gently as if confirming that this was truly him. Leo lifted his weak hand with effort, and Max responded by moving closer so Leo could touch his fur. Leo's fingers sank into the warm coat and stayed there, and his face relaxed in a way Anna had not seen in days. She watched as her son breathed more evenly, and she felt like time itself had slowed down to honor this moment. The nurse and doctor stood a short distance away, watching quietly without speaking. Sam stepped back to give them space, and tears ran down his face as he saw Leo's reaction. Leo whispered Max's name again and again, and each time Max responded by pressing closer and staying still. Anna spoke softly, telling Leo that Max had been waiting for him and that Max was right there. Leo looked at Anna and smiled, and in that smile she saw peace instead of fear. Max lifted his head slightly and licked Leo's fingers gently, and Leo closed his eyes as if holding on to that feeling. Anna placed her hand over Leo's hand and Max's fur, connecting them all together. For a brief time the machines and walls and rules seemed to disappear, and only love remained in that small garden space. The doctor checked Leo's condition quietly and nodded to the nurse, signaling that they still had a little time. Anna leaned closer and spoke about memories from home, about mornings when Max would sit by Leo's bed and refuse to leave. Leo listened with closed eyes and calm breathing, and his grip on Max's fur did not loosen. Max stayed perfectly still, as if he knew this was not a moment for movement. The air felt cold on Anna's cheeks, yet her heart felt warm and full. She realized that no matter what happened next, this moment would live inside her forever. After a while the nurse stepped closer and said softly that they needed to take Leo back inside. Anna nodded even though she wanted to beg for more time. She kissed Leo's forehead gently and told him Max would always be with him in his heart. Leo opened his eyes again and looked at Max one last time, and there was gratitude in that look. Max seemed to sense the change and let out a small sound, then rested his head once more against Leo's leg. The nurse slowly moved the wheelchair back toward the door, and Anna walked alongside holding Leo's hand until the last possible step. When the door closed behind them, Anna felt her knees weaken and she leaned against Sam for support. She looked at Max and hugged him tightly, thanking him as if he were a person who had made a great sacrifice. The doctor approached and placed a hand on Anna's shoulder, and he told her that moments like this mattered more than rules sometimes. Anna nodded because she had no words left. She watched the closed door and whispered a silent prayer, hoping that Leo felt comfort and love as he went back inside. She did not know what the next hours would bring, but she knew that something powerful had already happened. The visit had not just changed Leo's mood, it had changed the hearts of everyone who witnessed it. And as Anna stood there with Max pressed against her leg, she felt that this was only the beginning of a deeper change yet to come. Na stayed near the side entrance long after Leo had been taken back inside, and her body felt heavy like she had run a long distance without rest. Sam stood beside her in silence and Max leaned gently against her leg as if offering support without words. The cold air moved around them, but Anna barely noticed because her thoughts were locked inside the hospital walls. She replayed the moment Leo touched Max again and again, and each time her chest tightened with emotion. After a while, a nurse came out and told Anna that Leo was resting and breathing calmly. The nurse said the visit had helped him relax and that his heartbeat had settled. Anna thanked her quietly and felt a small sense of relief wash over her. Sam suggested they take Max home to rest, but Anna hesitated because she felt like leaving would mean letting go too soon. She asked if she could stay a little longer near the building, and the nurse agreed. Sam nodded and said he would wait with her. Time passed slowly, and the sky began to darken as evening approached. The hospital lights grew brighter against the fading day, and Anna watched people enter and leave without noticing her. Max sat patiently at her feet, and looked toward the building, as if expecting Leo to return. Anna gently stroked his head, and whispered that Leo was inside resting. Inside the hospital, Leo lay quietly with his eyes closed, and the blanket pulled close around him. His breathing was slow and steady, and his face looked calmer than it had earlier. A nurse adjusted the machines and smiled softly as she noticed the change. Leo dreamed lightly, and in his dream Max was there beside him, walking through the park under warm sunlight. The dream made his heart feel lighter and his body feel less tired. Back outside, Anna leaned against the wall and closed her eyes for a moment. She thought about the years she had spent caring for Leo and how quickly life had changed. She remembered nights when Max would sleep by Leo's bed and refused to move until morning. She realized that Max had always been more than a pet and had been a quiet guardian through every stage of Leo's life. Sam broke the silence by saying that maybe the visit had given Leo strength. Anna nodded because she wanted to believe that deeply. Suddenly the same senior nurse from earlier returned and approached them with a thoughtful expression. She told Anna that word of the visit had spread among the staff, and that many were moved by what they had seen. She said some people were questioning whether the rules allowed enough room for compassion. Anna listened with surprise and did not know how to respond. The nurse said nothing would change immediately, but that sometimes one moment could open many hearts. Anna felt a mix of hope and fear because she did not want Leo's situation to become a story or a lesson for others. She only wanted peace for her son. The nurse assured her that Leo was being treated with care and dignity. She also said that if Leo asked for Max again, they would try to make it happen in a safe way. Anna felt tears fill her eyes again, and she thanked the nurse sincerely. Sam suggested they take Max home now because the air was getting colder. Anna finally agreed and knelt down to hug Max tightly. She told him that he had done something very important and that Leo felt his love. Max looked up at her with calm eyes and wagged his tail gently. Sam helped her stand, and they walked toward the parking lot slowly. As they drove away, Anna looked back at the hospital one last time, and whispered a quiet promise that she would return in the morning. That night, Anna could not sleep easily, and every small sound made her heart race. She lay in bed thinking about Leo and wondering if he was comfortable. She replayed his smile when he saw Max and held on to that image like a shield against fear. Max slept on the floor near her bed, and occasionally lifted his head as if listening for a call. Early in the morning, Anna woke up and felt a strong urge to return to the hospital. She dressed quickly, and Sam drove her back without needing to ask why. When they arrived, the building looked calm under the morning light. Anna entered and walked toward Leo's room with careful steps. A nurse met her halfway and told her that Leo had been awake earlier and had asked for Max again. Anna felt her heart skip, and she asked if he was feeling worse. The nurse shook her head and said Leo seemed peaceful and alert in his own quiet way. She said he talked about Max and smiled. Anna felt hope rise again and followed the nurse quickly. When she entered the room, Leo turned his head slightly and looked at her with tired eyes but a clear expression. He whispered her name, and Anna rushed to his side and held his hand. She told him she was there and that Max was waiting. Leo nodded slowly and closed his eyes again, as if satisfied. Anna sat with him and spoke softly about ordinary things to keep him calm. A doctor entered the room and spoke gently with Anna about Leo's condition. He explained that Leo was still very weak and that the coming hours were important. He also said that comfort and emotional peace were just as important as treatment. Anna asked if Max could visit again, and the doctor paused before answering. He said he would discuss it with the team because the previous visit had shown positive effects. Anna thanked him and waited quietly. Outside the room, staff spoke in low voices and exchanged thoughtful looks. Some remembered the scene in the garden and how still Max had been. Others remembered Leo's calm face afterward. A decision slowly formed among them. Later that morning, the doctor returned and told Anna they would allow one more short visit if Leo wanted it. Anna felt gratitude rush through her, and she thanked everyone involved. She called Sam and asked him to bring Max again. Sam agreed without hesitation and arrived quickly. Max jumped out of the car and seemed focused and ready. When they reached the side entrance, the nurse greeted them with a gentle smile and guided them inside toward a quiet room near Leo's ward. Anna felt nervous but hopeful as she waited. Soon Leo was brought in again, and when he saw Max his eyes filled with light. Max approached slowly and rested his head near Leo just like before. Leo smiled and whispered softly, and Anna felt that this second meeting carried even deeper meaning. She sensed that something important was unfolding not only for Leo but for everyone watching. The room felt filled with quiet understanding and respect. And in that still space Anna realized that love had already changed more than she ever expected. Anna sat beside Leo during the second visit and felt a quiet calm settle over the room. Max stayed close and rested his head gently against Leo while his tail moved slowly in a steady rhythm. Leo's breathing remained soft and even, and his hand stayed on Max's fur as if that touch gave him strength. Anna watched her son's face and noticed a peaceful expression that had been missing for a long time. The nurse stood nearby and kept watch without interrupting the moment. The doctor checked Leo's condition quietly and nodded as he saw how calm Leo appeared. Sam stood near the wall and wiped his eyes while trying to stay composed. The room felt different from any hospital space Anna had known because it carried warmth instead of fear. Leo whispered Max's name again and then looked at Anna with tired but content eyes. Anna leaned close and told him how proud she was of him and how much he was loved. Leo squeezed her hand lightly and then closed his eyes while still touching Max. Time moved slowly and gently in that room as if everyone agreed to let it happen that way. Max stayed perfectly still and seemed to understand that this was not a moment to move or make noise. The nurse eventually stepped forward and said softly that they needed to return Leo to his room. Anna nodded and kissed Leo's forehead while telling him she would be right there. Leo opened his eyes one last time and looked at Max with gratitude and calm acceptance. Max leaned closer as if saying goodbye in his own way. When Leo was taken back, Anna followed until the doorway and then stopped. She felt a deep ache but also a strange sense of peace. She hugged Max tightly and whispered thanks again. The staff helped guide Max and Sam back toward the exit, and several people watched quietly with respect. Anna noticed that some nurses wiped their eyes and others offered gentle smiles. She realized that Leo's wish had touched more hearts than she ever imagined. After Max left, Anna returned to Leo's room and sat beside him holding his hand. Leo slept deeply and peacefully, and his breathing remained calm. The machines made their usual sounds, but they no longer felt frightening to Anna. She stayed with Leo through the afternoon and spoke to him softly even when he did not respond. She told him stories from his childhood and reminded him of warm moments with Max. Evening came and the light in the room dimmed slightly. A nurse entered and checked Leo carefully and then spoke quietly with Anna. She said Leo was comfortable and that Anna could stay as long as she wished. Anna thanked her and did not move from her place. Hours passed and Anna felt tired, but she refused to leave. Near midnight, Leo stirred slightly and opened his eyes for a moment. He looked at Anna and whispered a few soft words that were hard to hear. Anna leaned close and understood that he was thanking her. She told him he did not need to worry and that everything was okay. Leo closed his eyes again and rested peacefully. As the night continued, Anna felt Leo's hand grow lighter in hers. She noticed a deep stillness fill the room and her heart began to race. A nurse checked the monitors and gently placed a hand on Anna's shoulder. She spoke softly and told Anna that Leo was no longer in pain. Anna understood without needing more words. She leaned forward and rested her forehead against Leo's hand and cried quietly. There was sadness beyond measure, but also a sense of release and peace. The nurse stayed with her and gave her time. When Anna finally stood, she felt weak but steady in her heart. She knew Leo had felt love until the very end. The next morning, Anna returned home and Max greeted her at the door with gentle excitement. She knelt down and hugged him and felt comfort in his warmth. Life moved slowly in the days that followed, and Anna took time to heal. She visited the park where the photo of Leo and Max had been taken and sat quietly on a bench. Max lay beside her and rested his head on her knee. Anna thought about how one simple wish had changed everything. The hospital later reached out to Anna and told her they were reviewing their policies. They said Leo's story had inspired discussions about compassion and comfort. Anna listened and thanked them, but she did not seek recognition. She only felt grateful that Leo's final wish had been honored. Over time, Anna found strength in small routines and memories. Max stayed close and continued to be her quiet support. Anna realized that love did not end with loss and that it continued in memories and gentle moments. She learned that sometimes change begins with a single act of kindness. Leo's wish had opened hearts and reminded many people of what truly mattered. And in that way his story lived on, bringing warmth to others long after he was gone.